Shalom. Our Torah portion this week is Re'eh. Now, God commands Moses to take the people to a valley on what is now called the West Bank in the land of Israel, to a valley that has on one side of it a mountain called Ebal, and on the other side a mountain called Gerizim. And in this valley, the Israelites are to hear repeated again all of the blessings that will occur if they obey the Torah, and the curses that will befall them if they disregard the words of the Torah. And the curses are to be assigned to Mount Ebal, and the blessings to Mount Gerizim. It's interesting, if you have ever visited Israel and you have gone to these mountains or gone to that area, you'll notice even now Mount Ebal is barren. It's a rocky mountain on which nothing grows. And in the same valley across from Mount Ebal is Mount Gerizim, which is pretty lush. Stuff grows there. Occasionally you will see people grazing their sheep and their goats there. Now, I want to bring your attention to something in the text here that I find rather interesting in the directions that are given in the Torah on how to get to Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim. Let's take a look. Chapter 11, starting with verse 29. V'haya ki yaviacha Adonai Elohecha el haaretz asher ata va shama lerishta v'natata et habracha al har Gerizim ve'et haklala al har Ebal halo hema be'ever hayarden acharei derech mevo hashemesh be'eretz hakanani hayoshev ba'arava mul hagilgal etzel Elonei Moreh. When the Eternal your God brings you into the land that you are about to enter and possess, you shall pronounce the blessing at Mount Gerizim and the curse at Mount Ebal. Both are on the side of the Jordan, beyond the west road that is in the land of the Canaanites, who dwell in the Arabah near Gilgal by the terebinths of Moreh. What I want you to notice here is this Hebrew phrase, acharei haderech, beyond the way, beyond the way. That simple phrase, acharei haderech, beyond the way, becomes the subject of an extensive discussion in the Talmud in Tractate Sota 33b. Beyond the way. What does this mean? And this was a question that the rabbis asked. They said this was not simply a geographic instruction. This wasn't simply a way to physically arrive at this place where these two mountains stood. It becomes a moral or an ethical imperative according to the rabbis. What do they mean by this? The rabbis said, why would they talk about this way? The rabbis conclude that the Torah was instructing our ancestors to stay on the road, on the way. They see the derech is being a road, and to avoid walking through the cultivated fields. What were they worried about? They were worried that our people would be so anxious to get to this place to receive all of the detailed instructions on how to observe the Torah, that they would be careless in the way that they got there, that they might not be respectful of fields that had been planted. They would disregard nature. So stay on the road and be careful about how you get there. Now, this is a wonderful instruction. Certainly the Torah tells us that we should be religious, that we should have religious values, that we should, to the best of our ability, observe the dictates of Torah, that we should avoid doing those things that are not right and embrace and do those things that are positive and good. Well, that's all very well and good. But we have to be careful the way that we apply our religious values in the real world. Not everybody agrees with us. Not everybody has the same interpretation of Torah. Some people might not even believe in the Torah. And what this teaching seems to be saying is to be careful with the feelings, the sensibilities, and the welfare of those people that we bump into along the way. We should be passionate about our values, but we have to apply our values in the real world in such a way as not to cause others pain. And sometimes you find religious people who bully other people. It's not just religious values, it's all sorts of values. There are people who have very passionate political ideologies, and they believe that they're making the world a better place. And when they talk about those values and try and apply those political ideas in the world, but sometimes they end up hurting people just by the way that they approach the application of those values in the real world. In the 19th century, there was a wonderful rabbi by the name of Israel Salanter. He was the founder of something called the Musar movement within Judaism, referred to as the ethical movement. And he was a man who taught his students to be observant Jews, to care about all of the ritual matters, but he was very careful about cultivating within his disciples a sensitivity and a love of other people. It was in the days leading up to Passover one year, and his disciples came to him and they said, "Rabbi, teach us about making matzah. We want to know all of the detailed laws regarding the making of matzah, so we don't make a mistake and don't allow any chametz to enter into our matzah." And there are, to be sure, dozens of little laws regarding the making of matzah. But this is where Israel Salanter began with his students. He didn't begin with all of the ritual laws. He said, you know, in our village, there is an elderly woman who has to draw the water and carry it in a bucket. She has to go to the well and to carry the water to the bakery where we make our matzah. The first thing that you have to be careful about for your matzah to be kosher is to make sure that you do not add unnecessarily to her burden. Be sensitive to this person. I think that this is a wonderful lesson about bringing the passion of our values to the real world, that we must balance our ideas with love in the way that we apply those ideas and ideals to the real world. Well, I hope that you will read this week's Torah portion and come to your own conclusions. Shabbat Shalom.
أبا شمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني أبا شمعون كن بعوني لا دعيتك عينني لا دعيتك